So my name's Nick and I'll teach you how to tailwhip a dirt jumper today. So a couple things you should probably know how to do before. No footers obviously help. Simple say no foot cans. Couple little steps you gotta do prior to learning tailwhips. So what are the best ways to practice tailwhips? First you gotta figure out which way you're gonna be spinning. So if you're right foot forward, you're gonna be spinning your bike counterclockwise. And if you're left foot forward, you're typically gonna be spinning your bike clockwise. Yeah, so best way to practice without getting on the ground and doing anything is just stay next to your bike. So if you're right foot forward, it's gonna be on the right. If you're left foot forward, it's gonna be on the left. And what I want you to do is just spin it around like this and have it land on the other side. So while you're doing this, you want to make sure to keep your bike close to you. Obviously, you won't be able to keep your hands straight yet because you're on the ground, and if you keep your hands straight, your bike's gonna touch the ground. You don't want that. But I want you to do this about 20 times. Just get used to the motion. And obviously, remember, spin your cable back if you have a cable. So once you finish doing that about 20 times, kind of learning the motion, next step you're gonna do is get on the ground. So I know the ground weird, dirty. You got it, man. It helps so much. You're gonna wanna get on your back like this. Make sure to keep your legs nice and flat. And you're gonna be doing a tailwhip on your back. So first few times, you might mess it up. You might wanna have someone standing next to you, help you out. It's gonna look like something like this. And if you have brakes, you can obviously press them. It makes it a little bit easier. So you're gonna wanna do that a few times. And once you're comfortable doing that, next step is gonna be trying them in real life. Best place to try them, probably a fly out like this. Some people wanna try them hop, some people wanna try them over a box jump. I would say a nice quarter pipe to flat is gonna be ideal for trying them your first time. You don't want it to be too mellow and too steep. You want it to be just enough so you still do the work. So, especially once you're trying them in real life, the two main things you want to think about is keeping your hands as straight as possible and keeping your bike as close to you as possible. So when you're gonna be tailwhipping, you're gonna be doing a D motion with your hands. So it's either gonna be a normal D if you're right foot forward, or a backwards D if you're left foot forward. An uppercase D, obviously. And then, once you get comfortable doing that in the air, you're gonna wanna practice catching. So when you're catching a tailwhip, you don't want to catch it like a no-footer. That is the biggest mistake people make. They try to, just plop your feet down like a no-footer. That you don't want to do that. So when you're catching a tailwhip, you want to do it in steps. You want to clamp your feet as tight as possible, right? And you're going to do your front foot first and your back foot. And you're going to clamp them as tight as possible as soon as you see the pedals come around. Now this is obviously practice, and you're gonna have to practice this quite a bit. But with enough time, you'll be able to do it. So let me show you guys what a tailwhip is probably gonna look like your first few times trying. Now keep in mind, you wanna keep your arms as straight as possible and your bars as close to your belt as much as possible, all right? So it's probably gonna look something like that, right? You're just gonna be sending yourself, but you wanna do that like 10, 15 times just to get the feel of what a tailwhip's gonna be. And don't worry if you dead sailor. So dead sailing is essentially, you just lean forward a little bit too much. At the same time, you don't wanna lean back. You wanna have your body about centered. Honestly, you wanna be leaning forward a tiny, tiny bit whenever you're tailwhipping. So when you're going up the ramp, you don't need to necessarily use brakes. This is kind of preference. I like to use brakes. You're gonna be going up, lean forward a tiny bit, right? As soon as you see the lip, you wanna wait a millisecond. Problem people have is tailwhipping way too early off the lip. You wanna wait till your front wheel is about halfway off the coping and your back wheel is about to touch it. That is about the best time to start thinking about tail whipping in the air. All right, so as you're doing your fly out tail whip, you're gonna wanna think about a few things as you're progressing closer and closer to landing it. So as you're going up, you're gonna have your front wheel about this high off the lip and your back wheel almost off, right? This is about when you wanna start doing a rotation. You're gonna kind of pop off like a no-footer. So you can also kick it with your back foot. Not everyone does this. I personally do half and half. It's kind of random for me. I honestly don't even think about it. You'll kind of figure it out. Definitely doing it on your back helps. You'll kind of figure out what you like doing better. So as you start doing a rotation, you want to straighten out your hands, keep them as close to you as possible, keep your bars close to your belt, and then when your bike is about this far from you, you're gonna want to spot your pedals, kind of look at them, and then catch your front foot, and clamp your back foot on. So remember, don't try to catch it like a no-footer. If you try to catch it like a no-footer, it's most likely gonna be way harder to learn. Maybe once you get good at it, but definitely learning them is not gonna help. Another thing to keep in mind is do the D motion. So you're gonna keep your arms straight, do the D motion, you know, regular D if you're right foot forward, opposite D if you're left foot forward, kind of just depends. I'm right foot forward, so I do regular D. So now I'm gonna show you what it looks like when you're actually landing them. So keep in mind, you wanna keep your arms straight, D motion, spot your pedals, and then clamp them in steps. It's all just in steps. You don't wanna try to do everything at once, you're just gonna mess it up. It's all about the steps. And honestly, I highly recommend wearing shin pads and knee pads, if not even ankle braces, when you're trying this trick for the first time. Once you get the hang of it, it's not necessarily, you know, you don't have to, but especially when you're learning it, I would highly recommend it. And obviously a helmet, gloves are honestly optional, that's kind of just my preference. But yeah, this is what it looks like when you're actually landing them. That was a little sloppy, but you kind of get the point. So when I was going up, I waited a tiny bit. I let go. I don't know if I kicked or not, I'm not gonna lie. It's not something I think about, but some people do kick with their back foot. And I kind of kept my arms straight, led the bike around. I did press the brakes about a few milliseconds into doing the trick. It just helps stabilize your pedals and your bike, helps it spin a little bit faster. So it's a bit useful. And then bike was coming around, I spotted my pedals, I put my front foot on, then on my back foot, and I landed. So yeah, with enough practice, you'll get this trick. Honestly, it took me several months to learn it on a BMX, and a dirt jumper is honestly a little bit harder. A few things when setting up your dirt jumper for tail whips. You want to keep your chin a little bit tighter so your pedals don't spin as much. Another thing I recommend is having an extra long cable so you can just keep trying it, or a gyro. Tidal makes a nice gyro, or a Schroeder, this guy from Poland. And also pump up your suspension. You want to like bounce. You want to kind of just go off it. And then yeah, go to your local skate park, go to your local jumps, find a nice little jump that's not too steep, not too mellow, and preferably goes to flat or mulch. And then yeah, once you get it, once you land a tail whip about 10 times, I'd say you have them forever. It's just muscle memory at that point. But getting past the first few is the hardest part. You just gotta like understand how your feet go on. So you gotta make sure you're doing steps, you know, clamp your feet on the pedals, kind of spot it. But yeah, that's how you tail whip, guys. Oh, let me know if you want more tutorials.